Ever heard a bell that felt like it knew you, ringing doom you can't escape? Welcome to Shadow Watch, where we hunt tales that stalk the dark. Tonight, we're in New Orleans, Louisiana, a city of jazz and buried sins where bells don't chime, they wail. Meet the hollow bells of St. Lys Church, ringing at dawn, foretelling your fate. And if they call you, there's no running. Stay close, this story's twists will bind you tighter than you think. This is Clara Voss, a 30-year-old investigative journalist, bold, restless, chasing stories that hum with secrets. It's April 2025, and she's in New Orleans' French Quarter, a web of neon lights and voodoo shops, to write about a 19th century legend for a magazine. Locals whisper of St. Lys Church, a ruined chapel. Its bells cursed to ring and show fates, deaths, betrayals, sins. Clara books a guest house near the church, air thick with moss and bourbon, her recorder ready. But the city hums low like it's watching her. Her first night. Clara wanders, noting warped signs and shadowed alleys, the air's heavy jazz fading. But a sound starts faint. Not music like bells wailing from the church. Her pulse spikes. She's alone. No one's near, but the church's steeple looms. Its bells swaying alive. She steps closer, and they ring. Clara, a whisper, not hers, showing a shadow. Her face pale, drowning. Her breath stops fear raw. In her room, she plays the audio, but the ringing grows, weaving words, not hers, a sin she never faced a death, not her own. Clara's no believer, but this isn't imagination. She digs online, finding scraps about Amara, a 1850s voodoo priestess. Her bells cursed after a blood ritual, binding fates, guilt, secrets, lies. After her death, the bells stayed ringing for those marked. Clara scoffs tourist traps sell clicks, but her notebook's open words scrawled, "You'll pay," not her pen, about a family sin she never knew. A debt unpaid. Next morning, she asks a shopkeeper Leon about the church. His eyes narrow. "Don't linger at dawn, miss, they know you." Clara smirks voodoo hype, but Leon's hands shake like he's heard them ring. She visits the church air, thick with damp earth. The ringing returns. Clara sharper, weaving her name with dread of fate unclear. Her flashlight dims the bells, trembling, not chiming but showing a swamp. Old a woman like her sinking mud, swallowing. The church feels alive watching. The ringing spikes. Clara. Then more. You failed. You hid her fears, raw spilling from the bells. A rustle sounds, not leaves behind her. The ringing chants cold like ice in her veins. Clara bolts her guest house in sight, but the church is heavy, pulsing. Her thoughts, not hers, looping a woman's scream, a ritual's chant. Inside, she's panting. Notebook, glowing faintly, her name etched in ash alive. New Orleans hides its curses, but the bell's wails cut deep. What would you do with a bell that shows your end, a fate that names you? Would you listen or run? Clara's about to learn what the hollow bells want, and it's not just a story. Stay tuned, this tale's rising darker than New Orleans' deepest swamps. Clara's hands shake the notebook, pulsing in her grip, her name etched in ash. You'll pay, not her hand. The hollow bell's wails weave through the guest house, spilling secrets of family sin she never knew. A fate she can't grasp. The air's heavy New Orleans pressing in shadows, curling, not with moss, but intent their whispers, threading her thoughts, sharp, raw. She's chased leads before, but this isn't a scoop. It's a trap, and the bells have her snared. She slams the notebook shut, but the wails grow, chanting Clara through the walls, soft, relentless, naming her dread. Clara dives into research, digging into Amara, the 1850s voodoo priestess. Her blood ritual cursed the bells, binding fates, guilt, betrayals, sins. A journal hints at St. Lys Church never cleansed, always calling those with debts. Clara's no mystic, but the wails burn and the bells aren't folklore. They're here. She steps out, flashlight trembling. The city's darker jazz muted the church, glowing faintly. The air's thick with swamp and smoke. The wails shift, chanting, Clara, then sharper, you failed. Her fears spill from the bells. Raw, her light catches ash falling from the steeple, pulsing red like blood in mist. The church feels alive, watching. A rustle sounds not wind, but steps deliberate. The wails chant. Clara, weaving her doubts. You hid, you broke. Small sins, heavy burned into her mind. Clara pushes deeper, reckless, needing proof. The wails grow louder, a chorus now naming her flaws, her fate. She reaches the church's nave bells, swaying ash, pooling at their base alive. The wails spike Clara, cold from the metal. Not the air shadows move, not dust, but shapes blurred their eyes, glinting, reflecting her dread, her shame. Too many Amara's curse. She kneels, finding a bell etched with names, Amara's 1850s carved than others. Clara's fresh wet like mud, her throat locks. This isn't history, it's a claim. Amara's bells are her voice, her ritual binding New Orleans souls. The wails chant, Clara promising truth if she stays, ruin if she runs. The shadows curl clearer now. Not people, but fates, hers. Others hungry alive. Clara backs away, flashlight. Flickering. The nave shrinks walls, groaning shadows, snagging her arms. Cold like swamp and ash urging her to stay. She trips notebook, falling pages, open new words, you're hers. The shadows hiss their eyes, locking hers, peeling her soul. A sin she didn't know, a truth she dodged. The bells, pulse red, and something moves. Not light, but metal, vibrating toward her alive, claiming. She bolts, pews, rattling the wails, roaring. Clara weaving her name with pain, a secret she buried, a fate she cracked. The church blurs, nave, fading shadows gliding, not chasing but waiting. Her guest house is a head door, ajar though she locked it. Notebook glowing inside her. Name, boulder etched deep. She slams it shut, panting. The wails fade but linger in her looping. Her thoughts are no longer hers. New Orleans hides its snares, but the bells' wails cut deep. What would you do with a fate that knows your heart, a truth that never blinks? Would you listen or run? Clara's caught in the bell's curse and it's not letting go. Stay with us. This story's ringing louder, darker than New Orleans' oldest graves. Clara's breath catches the guest house walls closing in. The notebook lies shut, but its glow seeps through her name, pulsing in ash alive. The hollow bell's wails linger not outside, but inside her, threading her thoughts. Her fears a family sin. She never faced a fate she can't escape. New Orleans' air is thick not with jazz, but dread, as if the city itself breathes, watching, waiting. Clara knows stories, but this is different. It's not her story, it's theirs. She grabs her recorder, replaying the wails, but they're louder, chanting Clara, then Amara, weaving her name with a scream from centuries past. Her laptop's open old records of Amara flickering. A priestess betrayed her ritual, cursing the bells, binding souls. Clara's eyes burn not from dust, but visions. Unasked, a swamp. A chant, a woman's cry her own. The wails spike Clara, pulling her mind to the church, not by choice, but force. She resists, but her feet move drawn to the church. The night's black stars gone, only ash, glowing in the bells, red like blood. The wails are a chorus now, not whispers but voices, naming her fears, her shame, her fate, clear as ice. She reaches the nave ash, pooling faster, bells trembling. Shadows rise, not blurred, but sharp, their forms twisting. Amara's face, eyes hollow. Then Clara's mirrored guilty. The air cracks, and Amara's there, not flesh, but shadow. Her voice, the wails, "You're mine." Clara freezes. The nave shifts, walls bending, bells splitting, pulling her into a memory, not hers, but Amara's. She's in 1850s New Orleans swamp mud, underfoot. A crowd chanting a ritual blazing. Amara's eyes lock on hers, not accusing but knowing. Seeing Clara's sins, a family debt she didn't know, a truth she hid. The wails chant, "You failed," and Clara's back in 2025 gasping. But Amara's shadow clings, her voice in Clara's throat. Cold, stay. Clara fights, clawing at the air, but the shadows press their eyes. Her own, reflecting every fear, every lie. The nave's alive, bells ringing, etched with names. Amara's, Clara's, others' centuries of souls bound by guilt. Amara's shadow whispers, "Speak your fate or join us." Clara's voice breaks. I don't know her secret, raw, a family sin she never faced. The wails soften, but the shadows tighten their forms, shifting not just Amara but others. Faces of New Orleans, eyes glinting, hungry for her truth. She stumbles, bells cracking, ash burning red, branding her skin. Amara's shadow looms, her voice, the metal. Truth binds, lies burn. Clara's mind fractures, seeing her past. A family name tainted, a debt dodged for safety. The wails roar. Clara and the nave pulses, dragging her deeper, not into bells but memory. Her fears replayed, endless. She screams, but the shadows drink it. Their forms clearer. Her face among them, twisted hers. Clara collapses. Notebook, falling, pages open, words scrawled. You're us. The shadows chant, not in anger but hunger. Their eyes peeling her soul, her guilt, her core. The nave shakes, bells splitting Amara's shadow, merging with Clara's, her voice hers. Stay or burn. New Orleans' curse isn't history. It's alive, and Clara's its claim. What would you do with a fate that traps you? A truth that names you? Would you speak or fade? Clara's sinking into the bell's grip, and New Orleans' walls are closing. Stay with us. This story's not done darker than the swamp's own heart. Clara's on her knees, the nave's pulse deafening her breath. Ragged, the hollow bells circle their forms. Amara's hers, New Orleans lost, blurring into one, eyes glinting, naming her fears. The notebooks open. You're us, etched in ash mud, dripping like blood. The wails are not outside, but in her bones. Amara's voice, speak or burn. Clara's mind splits her past, her guilt. A family's face fading, her fault. New Orleans' curse isn't folklore, it's her. She grips the floor bells, ringing ash, burning her palms. The shadows chant. Clara, their voices, her own, looping her failures. A truth she hid, a debt she dodged. Amara's shadow looms, not separate, but part of her whispering. Truth frees. Clara's voice cracks. I carry it, her secret, spilling raw. A family sin she never knew, a debt she inherited. The wails falter, shadows pausing, but the nave tightens. walls groaning, claiming. Clara stands shaky notebook, glowing words shifting, break or bind. She digs into Amara's history, a scrap in her mind, a ritual, blood for blood, truth for truth. The shadows hiss their forms clearer, faces of New Orleans' damned eyes hungry. Clara cuts her palm, blood dripping, mixing with ash bells, flaring red, then white. The wails scream. Clara, not in hunger but pain. Amara's shadow fracturing her face. Hers, then gone. The nave shakes, bells cracking, shadows dissolving their eyes, fading, not gone but weakened. Clara runs, notebook, clutched ash, dimming her name erased. The church blurs, New Orleans streets ahead, but the wails linger soft in her blood, whispering. Clara not a claim, but a warning. Her guest house's dark door locked, notebook blank, but her reflection, her eyes not hers, glint red, Amara's. She packs heart pounding, New Orleans air, heavy watching. The wails are faint, but the shadows wait. Not in the church, but her Clara drives highway stretching dawn breaking, but the notebook glows a single word. Stay. She gasps, swerving her reflection, shifting Amara's smile hers. The wails return soft. Truth binds Clara's free but not whole. New Orleans' curse clings alive in her. What would you do with a fate that follows a truth that haunts? Would you run or face it? Clara's out of New Orleans, but the bells' wails never fade. If your heart's racing, smash that like share your fears below. Would you face the bells? Subscribe to Shadow Watch. Hit the bell for more tales that chill your nights. Next time, we're diving darker unless you're too scared to hear.